This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so we'll start the Audit and Finance Committee meeting for January 12th. Skip the chairman's comments and go right to the approval of the December 8th Audit and Finance Committee minutes, which were distributed earlier. Any comments or questions or modifications? If not, I look for a motion.
No, second.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Dave. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is a payment of the bills. You have those in your packet. Take any questions if you have any, and the staff could answer any on the particular, any particular expense items that are not standard items.
JMS, IOXIS.
Yeah, that's for IOXIS. They're supposed to be done with that work on Tuesday. So I've asked Chad to, review it and we can go over also, and then I'll make that payment to them. So just getting it signed today and approved by you guys.
Great.
It was the lowest bid out of the two from Eastman, and I did call him and we went over the bid to make sure that it was as detailed as the Eastman one was, as you guys asked for us to.
Great, thanks.
Paper kite, 9,000 and 16,000.
So yeah, 9,000 for marketing campaign for December. It went up in January because now they're putting together the a new landing page for us, and that's all part of the 48,000 that we pay them over the course of the year. So they got photos and a video from Vibrant Brands, which Vibrant Brands did in December, and so now they're putting that all together on the website.
Did we get it?
We got a preview of it yesterday. It's not actually live yet. Gina's not here. She's getting married this weekend, so she's off this week. She'll be back Tuesday. So she hasn't reviewed it yet, but we do. If you want, I can send that out to everybody.
Excuse me. She's not getting married until Saturday. I don't know what that has to do with
In
Thursday.
Detroit, in Michigan.
Okay, all right, okay,
Some
okay.
crap.
She's not.
And she's already there.
We won't see her which Tuesday we don't.
Quick question, how large is that umbrella for the Philadelphia insurance?
Well, it went up this year. How much did it go up, Jody? I think it was, he said about 12 over the course of the year. About 12,000 over last year.
No, I mean the coverage, sorry.
How many million does it?
Yeah, how many million?
I want to say 5.
Okay.
It's not really large. It's not.
It went up 12,000.
Yeah, those bills used to be about 7 a month. We get them between now to July, and then they stop.
We pay the annual premium over 6 months.
And usually they stop in July.
We paid $54,000.
I don't know. I'd have to check on that.
Would
We
you-
already paid one.
Check on that and the umbrella coverage, the total, so we
Generally
can.
in July.
I think it went up
we
to
get
3.
our last-
Jeff.
I know we asked for it to be increased. But I don't recall where we landed. I think 5 is what I remember too, but if you let us know, thank you.
Did they give you a reason why the insurance went up?
You just said the cost of everything is going up, basically.
Because he can.
That was, we had a meeting with MBT. Chris, who,
This is through Mang MBD.
yes,
Did we, this year, do any comparison?
no, we did not.
Make a point next year. We have it.
We need to, we need to look at that.
Okay.
Any other questions on the bills? No? Have a motion to pay the bills?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Dave. All those in favor?
All right.
And also on the back or included in your packet, you'll see the checks deposited or the revenue that was received. And for a pre-meeting discussion, that IOXIS number that's on there is incorrect. It's off by 0. Should say 5,000, not 500.
And we had conversations with the new congressman about space, and this is still
So that was just for December. Their lease terminated January, so we won't get January rent. No one has reached out to me about,
Smaller has not.
no, he is not. And it was Pat Ryan who reached out to me to extend Delgado's lease, so. I mean, I'd be happy to reach out to Molinaro and see if they're interested.
Yeah, I would, go ahead, call.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt.
I think for the community to have him office, it would be good for the community, so if we could facilitate that. Good idea.
Okay, and now a review of the financials. Jody, do you want to talk about financials in the packet, the year-end budget information or year-end, balance sheet?
Well, our assets are up by about $41,000. Sheet. Primarily, most of that is in the checking account. There is really nothing out of the ordinary. In the profit and loss, change of about 150 January to January.
154,000 in income. Yeah.
So, and one of the things is when
I think it's higher than that, actually, because the reason I'd say that is you have $46,000 being recorded. That was a recovery from a written off asset. So that was not operating revenue.
that's correct.
So if you take that out, you literally have, I know it's over $200,000.
And when I do my analysis, based on the going through each bill, it'll show that we've actually had a slight loss in 2022 of about $2,300. However, that doesn't take into account when the auditors come in, depreciation as well as accounts payable. So, for example, we're still waiting for $150,000 from the state for the rail yard project that hasn't been included. So after really long 2022. Probably the biggest issues that we have is in expenses is we had a number of unforeseen expenditures in consulting. For example, we hired the MRB group for about $18,000 to work on one of our grant applications. We're still carrying Martin and Judas. We spent about $4,000 with them. Now, in theory, 50% of that is reimbursable. EDA. We just haven't filled anything to EDA.
This is Richfield Springs.
I'm sorry,
Richfield Springs.
that's really the main issue. But overall, I think we had a good 2023.
Other comments or questions on financials?
I want to go back to, I'd be happy to reach out to Molinaro also on his people.
Yeah.
But is it $750 a month?
It is, yep.
Just a quick question on the status of the grant for innovation.
I still have not heard anything. I went through their entire press release for the end of the year. And while some people claim that one or two small grants were made through that program, the RISE program, when you actually go through their announcements, they have more than any. So we still don't know what's going on.
That's the one we were expecting, what, September, October?
We were expecting it in October. So I think what it is that they're still arguing about whether they're going to increase the appropriation in this coming year and then give out more grants all at once. because right now they're only anticipated the maximum awards for grants in the nation.
That's, the odds are not good.
Mhm. Time will tell. Okay, new and unfinished business. Burr,
Back to Bertrand.
Burr.
I guess the question, we could vote on it next, in 2 weeks. What do we want to do? Big question that the board, I think, was raising, what do we want to increase the rent?
Didn't somebody say everything's going up?
I do.
I mean, all of us, we're cauterized to it at this point, so, I mean, I think I don't want to be greedy, but I think it, you know, they have an established business now at this point. And, I don't know if people are seeing
What do you
that,
think,
but
Jody?
It's difficult to say in the sense that I had a meeting yesterday with the landlord's representative for our space here, and he's agreed that he'll hold the rent for us where we are this year. I was expecting.
well, he knows we're not for profit and Burr's a for-profit company, so he
Yeah.
expects things to go up.
I would say that the average inflation, I think, is about 6%.
Mhm.
So I would ask for a minimum of 5% increase.
When was the last increase?
Is it 6
Has
hours
there ever
over
been an
7?
increase?
I don't
So
understand.
this would be the third year with us.
Third
The
year.
rent has been $42.95 for the last 2 years.
So they completed 2 years, this is the third
This
year
will be
coming.
the third year.
There's been no increase the first two.
There has been no.
They're going to resign unless somebody did
5%
something stupid, so, you know, but I legitimately, the building's gonna continue to cost us money to maintain. You know, it's not, so I mean, I would think 6% would be a deal.
So did we ever clarify the structure? Because they asked for some weird
They wanted 2
2-year,
one-year.
1-year options
Yeah.
or some, I don't even know what it was. Did you clarify that?
I did not clarify with that. I assumed that we would just do a 1-year term, and if they want to re-sign again in a year, we'll talk about it again in a year, and I think they just wanted us to hold the rate for 2 years without the commitment of actually doing 2 years. That's kind of what it seemed like, but I mean, I don't know any other reason why they would
Why not?
have for 2 1-year terms.
Which is what they had.
Right,
They
right.
had
Yeah.
2 1-year
Yeah.
leases, so maybe that's in
Yeah.
their head.
So it's the staff's recommendation to go back with a 6% escalation for 1 more year? Is that correct?
Like you mentioned, 5.
6 would be reasonable in the sense that that's what the inflation rate is right now. It's actually, I think, 6.1.
I would make that motion. We have to vote on it. We have to vote on it or no?
We'll bring it to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Good. The other thing I would mention is that also in the minutes, if you recall, we talked about they had expressed interest in acquiring this building,
Mhm.
but they dedicated their capital to acquire a different building in Binghamton.
Correct.
So they're obviously expanding.
Right.
It's a good thing.
That business is busy.
Yeah.
Very good.
Okay, New York State retirement for employees. I saw this on both agendas the same day.
Yes, we finally, we received a response from the state federal system. In order to participate in the state system for the first year, it would be $11,600. The estimated annual contribution would be $9,475. They tack on an amount for deficiency in case their calculations are wrong to bring it up to 11,600. I'm not making a recommendation today on this, and the reason is that they will be charging 3.5% of each employee's who joins the retirement system salary. And one of the things I want to compare this to is that if we join the state retirement system, which initially I still think it's a good idea to consider this, because the state system is a fairly stable system right now. We could also look at doing an IRA, because if we put up 3.5%, it would actually be cheaper than our annual contribution for this And then have that matched by the employees at 3.5%. So I'm looking at both those structures right now. But I just want to let everybody know that we did receive a response back from the state. The problem with the state system, while I think it actually would be a better retirement plan than a straight small IRA, is that once we join this system, we can never get out. We're locked into it in perpetuity.
You can take it with you. You can take an IRA with you. So, I mean, even if you're vested, and you take it with you, you know, to eventually till you turn like 62 or whatever. But then it goes wherever you go, they change positions.
State would just have to roll it over, right? You're not gonna take your money, you think you could roll it over if you left the state, went somewhere else, you could roll that over to another account.
No, you can't
No.
roll it.
No,
It just sits there, I
You have
think,
to have
unless you take another state job.
It's vested,
Right.
10-year vested.
Is it 10 now?
Yeah,
But the state,
I think it is.
but the
I
state,
think
state program does not have a
Maybe,
match.
maybe it's 5 now? 5 vested.
The state program does not have a match, right? It's a benefit to the employee. So none of the money is the employee's money, it's
I know.
the employer's
So
money.
you-
Yeah.
I think you.
I read it.
contribute.
Wait a minute, I read it.
You gotta be able to take with you, you put your money in it. It's New York, for God's sake. Don't tell me it's working like that. The only way they could do that if it wasn't your money.
Information.
Yeah, they confirmed with me that for
What do we
each
do now?
employee
Do we
that
do them?
because of the salary range that we currently have on employees, their percentage would be 3.5%.
That they have to contribute to the pension plan.
But they individually have to contribute, so there is a cost to the employee.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, I think, look, if we're gonna look at this, because I don't know about the rest of you, I'll claim my ignorance. I'd like to see it, what we're looking at doing, what the cost of the agency is, what the benefit to the customer, or to the employee is, under both the state and an IRA.
Right.
And what the costs are. And then, you know, how it affects everybody, because I don't know all those factors, you know, I'm sitting here looking at this, I can't
And
figure it.
that's why I don't have a recommendation to you today, because I'm still looking.
Okay, well, put it in a comparison, side by side, if you don't mind.
And the tiers give you the benefit, I'm sure it's tiered, right?
Yeah, they would become tier 6.
6 and so.
Wow.
Yeah, benefits.
So pretty
Tier-
easy.
There are no tier 1 people left. Probably no tier, no, I wasn't tier 1 either. Probably no tier 2 people. There's a few, but tier 6 is nowhere near quality of
Kind of
program.
benefited.
Yeah. The reason they, you know, they did major incentives to get tier 1 people because they never contributed. So it was unbelievable.
Great benefit. Great benefit.
It's still a great benefit, but I think, you know, Jeff's point is well taken. A comparison would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, the most difficult thing right now is calculating what the benefits would be after 5 years for tier 6 employees. And I can tell you what it would be for like 22 years.
Yeah, the benefit of the system is based on longevity. The longer you're in it, the better the benefit.
Well, I-
Say there's a.
You can never really do an accurate prediction of what an IRA would be 25 years from now, you know, it's just so.
Yeah, I know it's kind of a guess.
Right, but there's a lot more flexibility with it. Yeah, great program.
And taxes,
Yeah.
exactly.
And the new generation of employees coming
They're
up,
mobile.
they're mobile. They're moving every 2, 3, 5 years. I mean, 5 years is a long time.
Right.
So,
I don't know exactly.
Yeah, they like mobility.
yeah, mobility.
I try to move every 30 or 40 years if I can.
So next year's the year?
Yeah.
The reason we're looking at this is to try to keep staff here.
Yes, no question.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, we want to do something, I'm sure of that. I just want to look at it, and
Right.
make sure,
Yeah.
make an
More
informed decision. Yeah.
Well, I'm still relatively new here, but do we have anything in place now?
You know, we have a good thing.
Absolutely not. Okay.
But people,
That's-
they don't
that's
do,
the
they don't contribute.
No.
As
For
much
example,
education as you do.
ultimately replace me, you're gonna have to find somebody who's retired and already has their pension vested and their health insurance paid for. And we're trying to get away from that by actually starting with health coverage and now going to retirement. So that you can have a bigger pool to choose from.
Great.
Want to come there as well? We have a note, or we have need for an executive session?
Yes, we talked about the financial history of two particular companies.
I would make a motion.
Thank you, Dave.
Second for
Discussion of companies.
financial.
Second by Senator Stewart, thank you. All those, okay.
This conference will now be recorded.
So, sorry, before we come out, did we need to talk about Northern Eagle in executive session? Or are we talking about that in open session?
Well, I mean, I think we can talk about it in open session just because I think there was a misunderstanding between the town and the county and Northern Eagle about whether they sold or not. So I'm gonna have a meeting with the owner and we'll work that out and then we'll involve the attorneys and the board on that. So I think it's just a misunderstanding that needs to get cleared up before we can actually address it.
What are we talking about?
Northern Eagle.
We're gonna talk about it.
What happened was that
They-
the town bookkeeper contacted the county, contacted Megan, I think, and basically said that the property's been sold and Northern Eagle.
We have a pilot with
Right.
it and that they wanted a full pilot. They wanted a full tax bill. They no longer wanted a pilot. But when I reached out to George Allen, he said, that's not the case. That's not what I said. So he's gonna come in, he's gonna talk to us about what exactly the relationship is between Northern Eagle and Saratoga, I think it's Saratoga Brewing. And then from there, we can talk to the board about what it actually is. He didn't say he doesn't want a pilot though, so,
Need the facts.
yeah. I think we still have a pilot, I think everything is fine.
So it's Saratoga Brewing then?
No, Saratoga Eagle, I think, isn't it? It's similar. It's the other Anheuser distribution center.
Okay.
They just bought out North,
Northern Eagle.
yeah, Hager's and.
Oh,
But they still have my understanding is they still have the brewery, operations. Cooperstown Brewing and, Glen Falls and they're
Saratoga Bottling. is what it's called.
Saratoga Bottom,
Yeah.
yeah. So, but they, all their trucking, because I knew one of the mechanics over there at, here in Oneonta, and they're sending all their trucks here now, so they cut back on all their staff here in Oneonta.
Which would pose a problem, so that would have to come too, because obviously there are
Right,
reduced numbers.
Yeah, I don't know how many staff, they retained the sales staff, but
Yeah.
I think they got rid of the trucking and, you know,
Right.
some of those
Pose some
other
problems.
folks.
In terms of retention.
Are they doing retail? I think you can't go there and purchase.
I'm not sure.
Well, I've heard something.
Yeah, not many
Yeah, I don't know.
vehicles there anymore.
No.
I know.
So
Yeah, the trucks are just.
Give it the facts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let us know what's going
All
on.
right.
Okay.
End of my question.
Thank you.
Are we still on your meeting?
We're waiting for a motion to adjourn the.
So moved.
Is the governance committee quick or is it?
Is there a governance?
There's governance and projects.
We, say that again. We need to have a governance committee.
We have a project committee, don't we?
I can really quickly go through the projects committee. We have somebody who wants to make a motion.
We already did.
It's already been done.
I'm late for my 9 o'clock, so I'm going to adjourn. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Around like a donut.
All
We
good.
need a Session for governance, for personnel issues.
No, I'll hold those off until our board meeting. On projects, the real,
So we're not doing governance at all? I just need those minutes approved. Can we,
Yeah.
like, open governance?
Let's open. I think
You're the governance.
No, we have 5 without Andrew.
Yeah, no, you're still
We're
good for it, but I can wait till you open and close governance. So,
The governance.
We're open in governance.
All right.
Okay.
I'd move
Can I,
to,
yeah, thank you.
I move to approve the December 8th minutes.
Thank you,
Second.
Jeff. Thank you, Tom. We already discussed retirement and we're gonna hold off on the executive session until the board. So just looking for a motion to adjourn that.
So moved.
So moved.
Thank you, guys.
Great. See you, Andrew.
I tried to really do it.
Let me know if you want to come on.
Yeah, oh, yeah, I know, I saw your email, yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Thanks.
I will. Once I get those.
Yeah, Tom, it's all yours, right, project?
Okay, project meeting, no comments. Ask for approval of the minutes,
So moved,
Thank you.
all in favor?
Aye.
everybody.
Jody, have a quick update on our project tracker? Anything exciting and new?
Really quickly, the only thing is that, on the Innovation Center, Gina is now taking on those, responsibilities. As Megan indicated, we filmed a trailer for the, Vibrant with Vibrant Brands and company. She's been meeting with, Southern Tier Incubator, to do a mentoring program. And she's now doing monthly meetings with all the committee members with Hardwick. So that's what's going on with that one. Also really quickly only on the rail yards. We do have a meeting Friday afternoon with Rambo Engineers as well as NYSERDA, and hopefully that will pretty much finish up the study. And the last one, Project Tracker, is Richfield Springs. The big announcement on that is that amazingly, the Federal Economic Development Administration approved our request for a time extension. In fact, they said instead of, we initially suggested that we could year's time extension to February of 2024. They asked us if we could extend it to August 28th, 2024, to give us 2 construction seasons to allow for any slippage that might come in the future. The other big thing that they've agreed to is that right now our Appalachian Regional Commission is reviewing the Department of State's suggestion that we get $500,000 from the ARC to supplement the budget on this project. ADA has agreed that once they award that grant, we can request them to transfer the monies to the Economic Development Administration, which they've done in the past on projects, and that the cost allocation would go from a 50% cost share of federal to that would increase to 70.1%. So that's a major issue, yes, because their cost share is much higher. Yeah. So that's kind of the good news on this. And that's really it.
What bid documents, bids? I'm sorry, Richfield Springs bids.
Keystone last Friday submitted all the required documents in a package to EDA, and EDA is reviewing those for final approval. So we're hoping to go to bid sometime in February.
Great. I just have one real quick thing, and I know it's running late. We talked about cleaning up the rail yards.
Yes.
And we need, if we are soliciting bids, we need some kind of a scope of work. And if we wanted to do that, we would want to do that so that, this spring or this summer, one of these heavy equipment people can get in there. I know Robinson might be interested, but we have local groups too. I mean, do we have somebody that can do a scope of work for us?
Yeah. We have maps that we can just really quickly put together what we want done as far as clearing vegetation and removing certain structures. Okay. So we'll do that this spring, before the spring, so we get up a bit, probably February, March.
Just a quick question. Sewer, sanding, gravel, and so, okay.
Yeah.
That's it.
So that's really it. You guys can read my reports.
It's just a quick question. You said interview with Nassim Varga.
Oh, yeah. So
What was that?
she's going to be our new admin assistant. She starts on Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I met with her, and then Jody and Gina actually met
Okay,
with her
that's what that
afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah, she'll be working 20 hours a week.
Yep.
And doing it within budget.
Hmm.
One of the things that we'll talk at our board meeting is cost of living issues. So.
Okay, yeah.
2 other items just for stick to kicking gum and chew on for a while. Number one, I had a conversation with Refugee Relocation Center, Demarcus, and a few other people. How they got housing and everything else, they're looking for some people. Everybody I know that owns a business is looking for help. They're getting on, people that come in aren't necessarily brain surgeons or car wash people or everything in between. And so if there's a way that we can help disperse information, number one. Number two, is there any appetite on the board for having, since the public should can sit in our meetings, the chamber chair, CEO, become more familiar. I think Sean's a cooperative person. And I think maybe there's some synergies we could develop if we work together, and I think he would like to do that. I'm not advocating a board seat as such, but, I think there's things they're plugged into that we're not. And maybe between us, we can do a better job of communication and finding opportunities. So I just throw that out there as a what if.
We're looking at exploring that.
Yeah,
already.
right, yeah,
It's expensive. We're looking at, the whole protocol. There's a lot of interest and there's
Yeah.
a lot of opportunity.
And
for
so
folks.
my point being the people who are trying to do it, maybe there's some more horsepower we can hook them up with so we can get, actually, once again, I have to get things done. I don't work on it. I want to get something done. So if there's some way we can help each other and get some people here and get them to work. Part of the problem with the theater and foothills is, discretionary income when you're in what's become a poor area. That discretionary income isn't here to support those things. So we need to build, payroll dollars so there's more money in the community. I mean, that's why we're here with the IDA. So anything we can do to help that work, I think, is critical to moving us forward. I'll get off my soapbox now. You're used to this, Jim.
It's very complex and
Yeah,
going to do
Jody,
this
was-
and take us, it's
was-
expensive too.
Yeah.
Was the
It's
chamber
not cheap.
considering moving back
I know
here?
Bob Harms.
Was the chamber considering moving back into this building?
Second
They
time
came
done.
over, we had a
Gotta get
discussion
housing
about
in.
it. They don't think
Yeah,
there's
there's
enough space.
and we're connected with an agency that's similar to
So
ours
they're
and what
trying
they've
to
done,
negotiate with
but
them.
because there were no resources for us to use.
I feel a good idea.
They don't want to pay the
And we're
rent.
using an attorney and it'd be nice to consolidate
Yes.
resources.
And I will be over at the chamber at 10 o'clock because they're having a press release on a grant that one of these ground floor agencies received for alcohol and substance abuse.
Leave? Leave?
It must be like-
Now, you all wanted to see Boardwalk at
Yeah.
9:30,
Yeah.
so are we still doing that?
Yeah.
We are.
If we want.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right, great, okay.
Ready to adjourn?
I unfortunately have a 9:30. So I don't have a lot of time.
I'm not doing it. No. It's cold, so dress warmly.
Yeah.
There's only that, but we did make the plan, so, and if not, I just tell people to,
Motion to adjourn?
Thank you.
Stop by